I love this next story. President Trump is proudly back on his bullshit. Take a look.
Now to a possible preview of Republican primary season 2022 and the lengths that candidates may go to curry favor with former President Donald Trump. It comes from this report in Politico that is titled "Trump's Secret Sit Down with Ohio Candidates Turns into Hunger Games." And this details what reportedly happened when the former president summoned 4 candidates to a meeting, all of them vying to be Ohio's next U.S. Senator, hoping to fill Rob Portman's seat when he leaves in 2022. Let's talk about this with Alex Eisenstadt, who is behind this story. You're the national political reporter for Politico. Okay, Alex, what a headline. Hunger Games, huh? Tell us what went on behind the scenes here.
So basically, Trump was at his golf club in Florida, and there was a fundraiser for an Ohio candidate running in a different race. And you had 4 Ohio Senate candidates who decided to make their trek all the way down to Florida to essentially kiss Trump's ring. And the former president invites the 4 of them into a back room. He puts them in a circular table, so they're forced to face one another. And essentially, it's an audition these 4 candidates engaged in order to sort of impress the former president. And speaking with someone who's directly familiar with what happened, it felt a lot like Trump's old reality show, The Apprentice, where you had all these different candidates just trying to curry favor and impress the former president in hopes of landing his all-important endorsement.
So any idea who did well here?
Well, it's unclear who did well, but you definitely had certain candidates, namely a guy by the name of Josh Mandel, who's one of the candidates running, who was really aggressive in terms of attacking another candidate who was sitting right there beside him. And he said, speaking of this candidate, Mandel said he was going to crush her. He said he was defeating her really soundly. And the speculation I got in talking and reporting out this story was that Mandel was really playing for an audience of one, that Trump would kind of like that bellicose kind of language and that would impress him.
I do just want to be clear that we reached out to all of the candidates today and we have yet to hear back. But, you know, on the bigger issue, Alex, where Trump is going to factor in the primary season, how significant will he be as a kingmaker?
Well, I think what this story shows is that Trump is going to be the ultimate kingmaker in this party. Candidates are treating him as the guy who can make or break the outcome in these Republican primary races. And it's really this remarkable thing. You know, you talk to candidates, Republican candidates who are running in races across the country, and it's as if the only thing that matters to them, the thing that's the most important to them, is somehow nabbing Trump's endorsement. And so what this scene really shows is the lengths to which they're willing to go out there and get it. It's something that we haven't really seen before with previous presidents. You didn't see candidates really trying to curry favor in this way with Barack Obama or George W. Bush, for example. This is a different kind of thing.
There's another report that Trump wandered into a wedding that was happening at Mar-A-Lago, and he picked up a microphone and he started rambling and ranting against Joe Biden and saying, like, do you guys miss me yet? Do you guys miss me yet? I think you probably miss me. I miss me, if I'm being totally honest with you. So, classic Trump. That's actually, by the way, really hilarious. I could see him doing that perfectly. Like, he's hanging out in his own room in Mar-a-Lago, and he just, like, wanders out and goes to the wedding, and he's like, hey, how you doing? Former President of the United States, Donald Trump. Current president, actually, if we're being honest about it. I mean, if we're really being honest about it, I think there's a lot of irregularities in the voting system. So that story made me laugh. Now, in terms of this story, yes, they're accurately calling him the kingmaker. And you're having these Senate hopefuls making the trek to Florida to try to kiss his ring, to try to get his endorsement. That's what this is. And there's 2 major takeaways here. One of them is he's being the reality show host again. That's what this is. This is him going back to his roots as the reality show host, which, by the way, The Apprentice was one of the few things he did that was just flat out profitable. when you look at his business history, man, there were so many flops. Trump the board game, Trump vodka. I mean, you fill in the blank. Trump steaks, which he randomly sold at the Sharper Image. It's not even a food store. What are you doing? So anyway, he's a disastrous businessman. His businesses have gone bankrupt about 6 times, I believe. He somehow bankrupted a casino, which is a business where they literally just come and give you money. So not the best businessman, but The Apprentice was the thing that was the real hit. And because he plays the role of like the entertainer big boss man really well. I mean, that's how America came to know him, right? So he's being the reality show host again, and in a sense, getting back to his roots. The second thing is this, and this takeaway is probably the most substantive and the most important. Guys, Trump being the Kingmaker is actually hilarious because he's totally vapid and non-ideological at this point. That's what it is. So it's not like he's calling these Senate hopefuls to come to Mar-A-Lago and they're going through the Trump agenda. Hey, what's your view of Trumpism? Lay it out for me. Where do you stand on all of the major policy points vis-a-vis Trumpism? It's not like he's taking them in a room on their own and they go through, tell me, so what do you think about trade? What do you think about foreign policy? He's not doing that. It's not ideological. So in other words, he can have 4 candidates sit around at a table. And the one who nominally disagrees with him the most ideologically, as long as that person kisses his ring and kisses his ass the most, he's probably going to pick that person to endorse. Because we've seen this a number of times. Trump has endorsed some of the deepest establishment Republicans in the country, which shows you what? That it's not ideological. It never was ideological. Everything he said in 2016 when he ran, the vaguely populist stuff, the vaguely non-interventionist stuff, it was just an angle. He never believed it. If he believed it, he would have done it when he was in office. There was still outsourcing under his administration. We're still in the wars. Even the idea, we have a deadline of May 1st, we're going to get out of Afghanistan. Nonsense. It still keeps thousands of troops there. It's not a withdrawal. It's just a reduction. And even that's going to be reversed by Biden anyway. So that's what you need to understand. This isn't ideological. This is like, hey man, just come tell me I'm the best and kiss my ring and kiss my ass, and then if you do it sufficiently and I like you, well then I'll endorse you. Which is just, I mean, honestly, it's hilarious, and it's actually the perfect end to the Trump era. Now, we don't even know if it's the end of the Trump era, because he might run in 2024, and God forbid he's up against Kamala or somebody, he could win. He could win. So, we don't know if it's the end of the Trump era, but this would be a fitting end to the Trump era, which is like, he becomes the kingmaker of a broken political party, and he's a kingmaker in the sense that he's totally non-ideological, and it's all about like, if you stroke my ego sufficiently, I'll support you. So you'll just have a bunch of Trump cult sycophants in the Republican Party. But that's the thing, man. I don't think that bodes well for the Republican Party. Trump is the only one that can get away with being Trumpy. You know, he's the only one that somehow can, all the scandals, he could just swat them aside and plow through. Other people, they could try to be Trumpy. Even Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz try to be Trumpy. It doesn't work. So if he just picks the sufficiently Trumpy ones who kiss his ass and love him the most and act the most like him, that could spell disaster for the Republican Party, because I got news for you. They already lost the suburbs, and the Republicans need the suburbs to really have a prayer in national elections. They need them. So it could be terrible for the Republican Party. It really could be. And I think that there are probably more intelligent establishment Republican figures who know that, and they don't know exactly how to handle this. Mitch McConnell clearly didn't know how to handle it when it came down to January 6th, the attempted insurrection, the impeachment. He didn't know what he was doing. They don't know what they're doing. So it'll be really interesting to watch this stuff continue to unfold, but Donald Trump is back to his reality show ways.